All right, let's talk about something that drives so many of us crazy, the headlines about low-carb diets. One day they're a health miracle, the next they're a death sentence. It's frustrating, right? So today, we're going to cut through the noise and get to the truth.
Yeah, you know the drill. You read one article saying they're the best thing ever for weight loss, and then the next day, a new study claims they'll take years off your life. So, what is it? A health hack or a ticking time bomb? That's the mystery we're going to solve today, and we're using data from nearly 1 million people to do it.
And this is the problem in a nutshell. We looked at 5 huge analyses, and the results are completely split down the middle. Some studies found that going low carb actually increased the risk of dying early, but others, looking at just as many people, found it reduced the risk. I mean, how can both possibly be true? Now, we've started to peel back the layers, but hold on. There is a massive, game-changing flaw in all of these studies that you absolutely need to hear. Seriously, this one detail might change how you see this entire debate. And here it is. This is a direct quote from the analysis. Let that sink in. What does it even mean? It means what researchers are calling low carb is probably nothing like what you think of as low carb, not even close. Just take a look at this. In one of the key studies, the group with the lowest carbohydrate intake was still getting a whopping 46% of their daily calories from carbs. 46%. For context, a standard ketogenic diet is usually under 10%. This low-carb group was eating almost 5 times that amount. And it gets even crazier. One study actually used the term ketogenic diet, but their low-carb group was eating as much as 100 grams of carbohydrates a day. I don't know about you, but in my book, that is absolutely not a ketogenic diet. Okay, so what does this huge flaw mean for us? Well, first, we can't really say these conclusions apply to people on a true keto diet. The term low carb in these studies is just relative. It means lower than the standard diet, not actually low. Bottom line, we just don't have the long-term data for people who eat very, very low carb. So this brings us to what we're calling the low carb paradox. Why do these massive studies seem to completely contradict each other? Well, the answer has huge implications for how you should approach this way of eating. The evidence all points to one thing. The danger doesn't come from the amount of carbs you cut, it comes from the quality of the foods you replace them with. This single idea is the key to solving the entire puzzle. Let's see how this actually plays out. There is this one brilliant analysis of 37,000 people that did something really smart. It stopped lumping all low-carb diets into one bucket. Instead, they split them into 2 distinct categories, healthy and unhealthy. And the difference is just crystal clear. The unhealthy low-carb group, the ones replacing carbs with a lot of animal protein and saturated fat, saw their mortality risk go up. But the healthy group, the ones focusing on plant proteins and unsaturated fats from things like avocados and nuts, their risk went down. You see? Same principle, totally opposite outcomes. And this quote from the researchers just says it all. The label low carb is almost meaningless on its own. It can be a tool for health, or it can be a tool for harm. It all depends on how you use it. Okay, so you might be thinking, got it. The answer is just to avoid animal protein. Simple, right? Well, not so fast. Here's where the story gets even more nuanced. Let's dive into the animal protein puzzle. So, is animal protein the villain in this story? I mean, some of the analyses we just looked at would certainly suggest that. They linked it to increased risk. But other data tells a much more complicated story. And this chart shows that complexity perfectly. Notice that a low to moderate intake of animal protein is actually associated with a lower risk of death. But as that consumption gets higher, the protective benefit disappears and the risk actually increases. It's completely dose-dependent. So what's the sweet spot? The best analyses point to an intake of around 12% of your total calories from animal protein. For someone on a 2,000-calorie diet, that's about 60 grams a day. It seems a small to moderate amount is actually protective. So, the key takeaway on protein is that a little animal protein can be beneficial, but, and this is a big but, it has to be part of a diet built on vegetables and healthy plant-based fats. It's about balance, not complete elimination. Okay, so with all these flaws and contradictions, should we just throw all the data out? Not at all. We can still pull out some incredibly valuable lessons on how to approach a lower-carb diet in the smartest, healthiest way possible. We need to focus on the trend, not the exact numbers. And these studies show a really clear pattern. The fewer carbs you eat, the more the quality of your other foods, your fats and your proteins, matters for your health. So here's a simple evidence-based plan. First, prioritize quality. That means whole, unprocessed foods. Second, keep animal protein moderate, right around that 12% mark. Third, emphasize healthy, unsaturated fats from sources like nuts, seeds, and avocados. Fourth, for the carbs you do eat, make them fiber-rich vegetables. And fifth, above all, make plants the foundation of your diet. So in the end, we can stop asking if a low-carb diet is good or bad. That's the wrong question. The evidence shows us that the real question, the one that truly matters, has always been about how you do it. The quality of your choices is everything.